Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pharmaceutical Soccer. I'm so happy to be here with you, my friends, my family, my brothers and sisters in the pharmacy space.
All right, Stephen, before you get going, I just want to say this. Now, I listened to the first part of last episode,
Okay.
and you very graciously gave Joel and Valaire a minute to bask. You gave me a minute to bask about
Yes.
Indiana. You did not come on the show when Michigan won, but Arsenal did lose the Champions League. So I do feel like it's only fair to now give you a minute to bask in
Oh,
Arsenal
thank you
losing the Champions League.
very much, Clay. That is so kind. Wow. I can't believe I have this opportunity. Look, I watched the Champions League final. That was so much fun to hate watch, in my opinion, that it was absolutely just fantastic. Look, we had to deal with conversations of the quadruple, and you were about 25% successful. So congratulations on at least having that. Really appreciate all the things that are happening, Valera. I hope next year goes extremely well for you.
All right, sorry, it's Fergie time, so you're done now.
Yes.
Valaire, I also just wanted to take a moment to congratulate you on winning the league. Sorry that Everton can only help you one way and not two ways, which was a downer. But Mikel Arteta was one of my favorites at Everton, so I am very happy to see him be successful. And I also would like to note, if any of you were not familiar with Mikel Arteta at Everton, which a lot of our listeners would not have watched him because it was before they started watching, you should go watch him play because he played a different role at Everton than at Arsenal, and he was a different player, and he was a joy. And it's why a lot of Everton fans are a little bit happy to see Arsenal win, because it does mean that Arteta got to win something, which was pretty cool. So congrats to you, Valaire.
Thank you. And I still have like a minute and a half left from last episode to waste however I want for the rest of my life. And
Valaire, you have the entire Iraq World Cup run, which will be in like a couple weeks.
You do not want to hear about that.
Yo, if Valaire, if Iraq makes it out of the group stage, I will give Valaire 30 minutes on this show specifically to talk about whatever he wants.
I'm going to say this right now, Valaire. If Iraq makes it out of the groups, I personally will redesign Pharmaceutical Soccer to do it in Arabic for you, that we can run T-shirts and everything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so excited for like the 2 shirts that we're going to sell. It's going to be great. Me and my brother.
Yeah, but you will have a Pharmaceutical Soccer shirt in Arabic, though. How cool would that be?
I mean, yeah, we'll have to take that. But no, it's fine. You know, the weekend was fine, and we just need to talk about more soccer that happened at the weekend, because we're all waiting for the World Cup. And I am actually pretty happy, like really, really happy about Arsenal winning the league. And I will never stop talking about it. It's been a week since it happened. It's been more than a week since it happened. And it still feels amazing. And it feels so nice. And there's literally nothing anyone can say to bring me down. And Steven can keep counting, because I just keep talking about it as much as I want. And then to have that happen in the same year that Iraq made the World Cup for the first time in 40 years, honestly, I mean, how much more can I have this year? It's already great. It's already great as is. But I'm going to the 3 Iraq games, like I mentioned. So if I get to see
you're
a
down
goal,
to about 30 seconds for Arsenal talk, so congratulations there. Let's talk about our weekends, though. Obviously, Valaire's is a little bit different. Clay, why don't you tell us a little bit about your weekend? I know you probably could take 15 minutes on this, but let's try. We do have other soccer stuff to talk about.
Well, first off, I just want to throw this out there. South Beach kind of sucks.
What?
Not my favorite place on earth.
No, breaking news right here.
But you know who doesn't suck? That's the South Beach Fire Department. They were pretty cool. So I was on vacation last week. First day of vacation, the hotel caught fire and we lost a lot of stuff. Pretty much everything we brought with us. And so it was a real downer. But we were still able to have our vacation. We were able to replace the vast majority of everything we lost and still had a good vacation.
Except his hair. That's why he got his hair cut. His hair was part of the fire.
Yeah, I got the haircut before the fire. This is not a result of the fire.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, but it was a real downer because I'd bought a lot of clothes to wear in Miami for the week we were down there. And all of those clothes were still new whenever they were destroyed. but it did mean that I replaced these clothes while I was in Miami. So your boy has a lot more floral clothing than than I had. So I'm either living my best Hawaiian shirt life, and pretty much I'm living my best Hawaiian shirt life in every photo that's been posted. So that is one of the big upsides. But we were able to have our vacation, and fortunately, nothing of incredible value was lost. I was wearing my Juneteenth NSC jersey, so fortunately, I didn't lose that. But I did lose a mint green Seamus Coleman shirt and a pink Yerry Mina shirt. Those were the two I selected to bring with me to South Beach, and those are not going to be replaced. So RIP to my pastel Everton collection. But
did
again,
they say
lucky, like no actual physical damage to my wife or me. So like honestly, all in all, still good. But yeah, real adventurous week in South Beach for your boy.
Yeah, that's a very like I'm sure you probably recovered and had a really good time, but to at least start vacation, that is just like setting the tone. Valera likes to say it a lot, setting the tone.
Hey, we still had our vacation. That did not happen with the Argentina trip. That never happened. So we were not able to have our vacation. So this time we still had our vacation. So it was still good. And we watched the NSC game last week in the hotel room. I listened to you guys at some point over the course of the hours of running around Miami and Key West and whatnot. But
nice.
But yeah, so
yeah,
now it's World Cup time.
I know. I had a good weekend as well.
I will say I did miss out on going to the Miami Philly game, which was happening while we were there. And I was a little bit, like I had no plans on going. And then someone texted me like, "Are you at this Miami game?" And it was halftime. And I was like, "No, why would I go to a Miami game? I have no desire to go to that."
Right.
Then I looked at the halftime score and I was like, "Oh, I kind of wish I would have gone."
Yeah, that was wild. That was a wild, yeah. I had a good weekend as well. Obviously getting excited for World Cup time as well. I did finally get I am going to one World Cup match. I did get one ticket to go to a World Cup match. So yay, go me. I get to do that.
Which one?
But I get to go to Croatia, Ghana in Philly, actually. I'm kind of excited for that one. I did not know.
I love it.
Yeah, the Croatian HQ, they are actually staying in Alexandria, Virginia. So they are very close. Apparently, there's a decent amount of Croatian folks in the DC area. So, yeah, excited for that. Yeah, it was a good weekend. I actually ended up going to watch the US men's game in the Outlaws Bar in DC. So that was exciting. I'm getting excited for the World Cup, which was also the Arsenal bar. So it was fun to just kind of soak up the sadness that was a part of that bar and watch the US men's national team at the same time. I will say the DC Arsenal spot is really cool, Valera. I don't know if you've ever been.
All the Arsenal spots are all really cool everywhere in the world.
Okay, that's not true, but all right.
Name one that's not cool. Yeah, exactly.
Nashville.
Lies. That's you're lying through your teeth.
By the way, I didn't mention this earlier, Valera. I did think it was very cool that Arsenal won after Allen passed away. I thought that was like a really cool thing for you guys.
I think I talked about it on the show when he did pass, and he's been great addition to. Well, he was a great addition to the soccer scene in Nashville, in a different way than we usually talk about, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some pharmaceutical soccer news specifically to talk about before we start talking about soccer in general. I don't know, Valera, do you kind of want to just tee this up a little bit? We talked to, obviously the announcement came, we put it on Twitter. How do you want to tee this up, buddy?
Yeah, so we are officially part of the 440 network. We have a partnership with the folks at 440. If you don't know the 440 network, it's one of those really, I guess, big names in terms of media in Nashville. They have all sorts of shows for different sports and non-sports stuff. And 615 Soccer, Pharma Soccer, and 440 Network, we were all on the same table. We're all trying to achieve the same thing, which is give fans the best coverage of Nashville SC and soccer in Nashville in general. And it made sense for us all to be within the same umbrella, within partnership, nothing is changing in terms of what this show is. Nothing is changing in terms of what we provide to folks and the benefits and our partnership with 615 Soccer, our partnerships all around. But this is just a really cool opportunity for us to be on this network. And the bigger changes will be happening in Club and Country, which is currently the second show, the second soccer show on the 440 network. Obviously, they already had Club and Country, so we're kind of joining in with them as well. And for Club and Country, Ben Wright will be taking over the hosting there, as well as Braden Gall. If you don't know these names, I don't think you'll be listening to this anyway, so you probably know who they are. And there will be other guests coming in as we go. So that show, you can expect it a little bit later in the week. And our show will continue to come on Tuesday, but we'll be working together. You'll hear some of our voices there. I was there last week when we made the announcement, so go back and listen to that if you haven't. They'll be talking about our show. They'll be on our show. We'll be on theirs. And we're all working together, and it's a pretty exciting time.
Yeah, and to be fair, we were part of the DNA of that show as well, as it was originally launched with Wes Bowling and Tim Sullivan, and Tim was on this show for a very long time before stepping away as they shut down the original shop for Club and Country. And so this is kind of rejoining forces again in the Nashville podcast space. So pretty excited about all of it. And for you guys, it just means that you get to hear a lot more from folks at 615 over the course of your week. So congrats to you, I guess.
Congrats to you guys. And I would say
you're welcome.
We have been trying to monopolize and take over the Nashville soccer market forever, and we finally have done it.
as an ardent union member, I feel like I'm required to say I am anti-monopoly. I just want to go ahead and get that out of the way. And now we can continue on our way.
And again, I just want to reiterate, I think it's important to do that. Like, from our show, again, nothing is changing from your experience. There are some things changing in the background, but you'll never even know that that's changing. The feeds are the same for both shows. So if you already subscribe to both shows, I know a lot of you guys already do subscribe to both shows. These two shows have coexisted for 6 years plus. They're going to continue to coexist, just in partnership a little bit closer than we were. So again, like, literally nothing is changing on your end. Feeds are the same. You're going to be staying connected with everybody.
Yeah, and I think it'll be really exciting too, just to have two different perspectives. Specifically, still a part of the 615 network. You're still a part of everything. Yeah, it's only good news for us and the listener in general. So it's excited, to work with the 440 Sports Network. Excited to continue working with Clay and Valair and Joel and Amari. They're all staying around, right? Like everything is staying the same.
Steven, it's important that Valair and I we weren't sure how best to do this.
We figured on the air is the best way. And I won't say much.
No. Oh, no. What did I do?
I won't say much, but I will say hashtag stay tuned for what's coming. There's more.
That's a long hashtag.
That's hashtag stay tuned.
Well, it's just stay tuned is the hashtag.
Okay.
The rest
got it.
Me adding that. But there's some exciting things, more partnerships perhaps coming. So
nice.
I feel like Clay and Steven don't even know about this. So this is really
I don't actually. That's why I'm confused. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Valair. So Steven, send us to break so we can learn what Valair's talking about.
All right. Well, I'm getting fired, and Valair has other partnerships specifically that's happening. This is great. As you can tell, there's no Nashville soccer to talk about, which is extremely depressing. It's obviously not helping us in terms of keeping the show on the track specifically. We have what? How long do we have? It's technically a month and a half, 6 weeks now, I believe, until we get back to Nashville soccer. Is that correct?
Yes.
How are you guys? I mean, obviously we have the World Cup. That's something that we're doing to pass the time. I do have a quiz question for you guys, actually, just one question. So one thing that I've been doing to pass the time is I've been playing as Nashville SC on FIFA, getting back into it. Valair knows that if you play seasons in Division 10, it's really fun when you're not feeling great to just win every single game. currently 15-0 as a Nashville SC participant, and I'm playing some very random teams. But the ratings are insane. They're not great. They are not organized extremely well. One thing that I think is the most interesting, though, is the left back position. I cannot play Daniel Lovitz or Reed Baker Whiting or Andy Nahar in left back. They have no pace. They are not quick at all. I currently have one opportunity for a player to play at left back whose apparently position is left back, according to FIFA. Do you guys want to take a guess on who that player is?
Alex Moyle.
It is one Alex Muil. That is correct. Who I am starting at left back for, because he is the only person that I could absolutely play. And Joe Willis is being started because Joe Willis is a 69 and Brian Schwacke is a 63, which makes zero sense also at all. So thank you, FIFA, for that.
I've always said
I
Joe
believe it's
Willis
called
is nice.
EAFC. I don't believe it's called FIFA anymore. I believe it's EAFC, and it's
Sorry,
weird that
EA.
it's weird that you want to promote FIFA. Like, to hell with FIFA.
I will say it is weird. I know they're coming out with like a FIFA, like a World Cup update in a few days. I don't know how they're going to do that without having anything licensed from the national team specifically, because it's all FIFA run. I don't know how they're
Green
gonna have that update.
Agent team. That's how they'll do it.
I don't know. How are you guys passing the time? How are we going to make it through these next several weeks?
I have this so I have a week here, and I'm not doing a whole lot in that week. I'm just going to Michigan to stay with some family. But then the following 2 weeks after that are insane. I will be in 5 different cities, covering 3 games and attending 3 games as a fan. So 6 games total in 2 weeks in 5 different cities. It's going to be either the best or the worst time of my life. Stay tuned.
I'm going to probably go swimming a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Clay.
Blood on the Clock Tower. I think I'm doing that this weekend. So, yeah, pretty low key. Hey, WNBA's on. I'm watching some of those games.
Sure. I watched Game 7 over the weekend.
Yeah,
that was a good Game
fun.
7.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird. It's just so weird. Like, this is the weird thing. We have to get used to there not being soccer in the summer now.
I know.
And it'll be fine. Like, we'll make it. But at least the World Cup will be starting here soon. And I don't know, maybe we can talk more about that in a little bit.
Yeah, and also with the World Cup, we actually do have some Nashville SC news that we do have to talk about, international friendly that we're going to get into, as well as what we're excited about when it comes to the World Cup, plus an awesome story on 615 Soccer. There's so much that we still have to talk about, and we're going to do that next right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. And we are back here at Pharmaceutical Soccer. You can find us at Pharma Soccer on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And as we mentioned previously, you can check us out at 615soccer.com. Spell it out in your browser, become a member. If you have not become a member yet, first of all, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? You should be a 615 member already. Whether it is a not paid member or a paid member, there's so many benefits that you get. Even when Nashville Soccer is not being played, we're still going to be talking about it. There's still going to be stuff happening, still going to be stuff talked about. So please make sure you're a part of the discussions. We've had a lot of fun conversations about the news that has come out recently when it comes to Nashville SC, stuff international-wise. Be a part of it. There's so many cool things happening. 615soccer.com, spell it out. Also, pharmasoccer.com for all of your merchandise needs. Would love to be able for you to be a part of it. And one of the things that we do actually, as we have 5-star reviews as well. If somebody does leave a 5-star review, we will read it on air. So please make sure that you do leave your 5-star review. We did have somebody not able to give us something to read because he left the 5-star review on Spotify, but wanted us to read it and posted it on the Discord. So this came from Neb. So thank you, Neb. Ben, his username is just Ben backwards. It comes from somebody named Ben. I don't think it's Ben Wright, but somebody named Ben. I moved to Nashville about 2.5 years ago and have become a big fan of Nashville SC and MLS since last season. This podcast has become a weekly listen for me. I enjoy hearing y'all's banter and thoughts on the team each week. I joined the Discord a few weeks ago, and I'm loving the match day discussion tab and seeing everyone's thoughts in real time. I would highly recommend the podcast and Discord to anyone who watches or keeps up with Nashville SC. Yes, absolutely. Thank you,
All right.
Neb.
Ben/Neb. We appreciate that. But that was far too positive. If you're going to have one of us read your 5-star review, we want to make sure that we are embarrassing that person. And so let's have Valère read something about how much he loves, Tottenham.
I, for one, think it's refreshing to see the positivity from this review, and I like it. So that's that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the review.
Yeah, thank you so much for the review. What do you do, Valère? What do you do?
Valère's doing the Steven thing to say move on because we got to talk about someone from Iraq, someone from the Iraq national team that he really wants to talk about.
It looks like Valère was trying to recreate you swimming, Clay. Like, I don't know specifically.
I'm a good swimmer. I'm very buoyant. I'm fat. I can float real easy. And anyway, let's talk about Ahmed Qasim.
Yes. So, look, Nashville soccer is not being played, but the World Cup is happening. Nashville does look like they will be sending one member of the team to a national team for the World Cup. And that, of course, would be Ahmed Qasim. So, Valère, how did this kind of come about? We saw the switch happening. We kind of predicted it, but it was still up in the air if he was actually going to make that roster and squad. And it looks like he did.
Yeah, I think I always said, I would be surprised if he didn't make it, even if maybe not shocked, but he had a good shot at it. He went in there, he impressed. He played one friendly against Andorra, got his first cap, technically got an assist in that match. And I say technically because he rolled the ball to a guy who scored a worldie. So, I mean, yeah, it's an assist, but I don't, whatever. But he did have a good game. He didn't start off really well, but the whole team didn't really start off well. And he made the final cut, and now he has really good shot at getting some real minutes at the World Cup. I don't know in terms of starting. Iraq has 2 more friendlies coming up, one against Spain, one against Venezuela. So me and producer Joel will go head to head on that one. It's in Chicago. We should have planned a trip for that, actually. Too late now. But yeah, so it's in those 2 friendlies, I think if he can prove himself to take that, he's playing on the right wing technically. Right mid is more like it for Iraq, right midfielder. But for him, born and raised in Sweden, Iraqi mother, Palestinian father. There were other national teams he could have represented, and I talked about this during our interview. So if you haven't seen the interview I did with him before he left for the national team, please go take a look at it on my YouTube channel at Valère Shabila. We didn't go into details because I didn't want to pressure him into it, but he could have played for like 5 or 6 different national teams based on where his dad was born and based on where his mother was born or has nationalities for. But overall, these were the 3 countries that he felt most connected to, which was Sweden, the country he was born in, Palestine, and Iraq. And look, Iraq came knocking. Iraq tried to get him, and the other FA that was trying to get him was the Jordanian FA because his dad was born in Jordan. And there was a little bit of more effort from the Iraqi FA, I think, first and foremost, and it just made more sense that he represents his mother's country. He said he feels a connection to Iraq and to the Iraqi people. Go watch the interview. I think it'll make more sense. And so he filed a one-time switch from Sweden to Iraq, ended up making his first cap against Andorra, like I mentioned, and now he's an Iraqi player in the World Cup. And, I don't know where the rest of his career is going to go, but I think this is as big of an honor as you can have as a soccer player in any part of the world.
Now, Valère, you might be uniquely positioned to answer this. How big is the Iraqi population in Sweden?
Huge. I mean, the entirety of Sweden's, it's like 10 million people in the entire country. So like, even when we're talking like hundreds of thousands, there are a lot more sort of prominent, if you would, than hundreds of thousands of people in America because there aren't 340 million, it's 10 million. So not only is it a huge in terms of numbers, and if you see, like currently in the national team, there are 3 or 4 Swedish-born players in the Iraqi national team. So yeah, it's a big population. There's a big Kurdish population there as well, actually almost as big as, if you look at the entirety of Sweden, it's probably as big as, if not bigger than even Nashville in terms of Kurdish population. So it's a really, really big Iraqi population in general, but Kurdish as well. And it has been producing a lot of soccer players, to be fair to them. There's been quite a few throughout the years.
And you didn't say why there for the people who didn't listen to it, but Blair has family in Sweden as well. So
yes, my
Yeah.
sister lives in Sweden, and all
That was
over
the reason
Europe
I
I have family.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been to Sweden a couple of times. Beautiful country, would recommend. I have been to Denmark as well, which is where my other sister lives, and I would recommend Denmark a little bit more. Sorry, guys. Copenhagen was absolutely beautiful, but I went in the summer or like late spring, so always go around that time. I wouldn't want to go in the winter.
Back across the pond where it is a little bit hotter, probably both in weather and drama than Denmark, and is in Costa Rica, where one Warren Madrigal did end up getting picked up by the national team, which is really cool to see, but then dropped back off into Nashville after some fun stories and such happening of Warren Madrigal being a part of, I would say, the Mean Girls Club of Costa Rica is probably the best way to talk about it. Claudio kind of helped out a lot with the story, so shout out to Claudio. Go help out with the story. But how do we want to kind of dissect the Warren Madrigal story at the current moment?
Well, I'm gonna give you the facts, and maybe you guys can give it a little bit of color. So he was dropped for discipline reasons from the Costa Rican national team, and reports are saying that he's back in Nashville or coming back to Nashville today. So the reason he was dropped were very clear that it was for discipline reasons. There have been rumors around what those discipline reasons are. There's still no confirmation of what exactly happened. However, there are coincidentally, some stories that run around the same time that could be a response. And he wasn't the only player dropped from the national team. There were 2 others. And those 2 others, they were confirmed why they were dropped, pretty much. There are stories out there. So if you put 2 and 2 together.
And also a fact that I also think is kind of big in the situation, the other 2 players were specifically cut from their squad, like their actual club team they were cut from. Is that correct?
Yes. So that was the big thing, is that they were not only dropped from the national team, they were cut from the squad. However, both of them had prior warnings and had prior issues. One of them had an issue 2 weeks ago, also a disciplinary issue. So this didn't come out of nowhere for them. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, since he came to Nashville, Warren Madrigal has not had any discipline or otherwise issues, really. I mean, if anything, he's just on the field. He's just chugging Red Bull and going into tackles, but that's really about it.
So, having spent the last week in Miami, it feels appropriate to reference maybe he was hanging around with some bad boys. Now, that was less a reference for you, as that movie predates you.
I've seen it.
But I think that it's important to remember that, one, as Blair said, we don't actually know a lot of the facts around Warren Madrigal, and they haven't been forthcoming with it. I think it's safe to assume, considering these are 2 players that he is known to have relations with, that he may have been in the wrong place at the wrong time for something that was major happening, and that was the reason he was going there. I think that is a fair read on things that might be going on, but we don't actually know, and I think that is also so we're pumping the brakes a little bit on saying something too overt or blaming it all on 2 other people, but just to say that young players have to do a lot of navigating the world when they're younger, and sometimes they go into a situation where their friends aren't necessarily the best people to be around in other contexts. And as far as Nashville's concerned, that's what you hope is going on here. Because if it's anything more than that, then that could end up being a very serious problem for Nashville and for Warren Madrigal in the future of his career, which seems to be very promising at this point.
And I do want to reiterate, like, these issues, they all occurred in Costa Rica. Nothing has happened in Nashville. And everything I've heard from BJ, from everybody around the club, on and off the record, has been extremely positive of Warren from people in the club who work with him on daily. So, that's why we're not like being accusatory here, because I do think it's important to say this might be a thing, because he is 21 years old, and you give teenagers a lot of money essentially, and things happen and decisions are made. And I'm not taking blame away from him for whatever, if he did something, and maybe this is a wake-up call or a second wake-up call, whatever you're going to call it. But I think a lot of that has to do with being in an environment that he's in with the national team versus the environment he is in the club, where in the club, maybe there are characters out there preventing these issues from happening. And maybe he just doesn't know the city well enough, or doesn't know what to do in Nashville. But maybe that's a blessing in disguise, all things considered, because he's learning that, being a professional player is more than just having talent and being on the pitch.
Yeah, a lot of this is that you're just kind of hoping it's a learning experience for Warren, and not something that is a continued cycle down, the drain. It's something that he can learn from and be like, look, I am a young player, but I do have a responsibility in terms of my club team, the team that is paying me, to make sure I'm not getting into these situations, again.
The one thing I will say is, even like the rumors and stuff coming out around it, they've been pretty harsh on two of the three players. The one player that they haven't been as harsh on has been Warren Madrigal. So that will be something to like kind of hope for, because to me, they're like, all right, we have to get rid of him. As someone who watches these things from afar, you have to get rid of him because of the context of the current situation. But everything around the top for Warren, it seems like the door is open for him to come back. I don't necessarily know if that's the case for the other two.
Right.
And so I think that's a unspoken context that seems to be at play, whether it's through rumors from well-sourced reporters or whatever it may be. It does seem to be more focused on the other two and less focused on him. So hopefully that's what you hang your hat on. But that's all we really know, so that's all we should really kind of
and I think Warren does get the benefit of it's around World Cup time where there is no club matches specifically going on. So that helps Warren. B, this is a situation that took place in Costa Rica where the other two players play for Costa Rican clubs, where it's a little bit different of a scenario that I would say. I think Warren is going to have the ability for this to kind of be slid under the rug a little bit, because we don't necessarily play for 2 months. So I think Nashville is going to take extreme caution in this situation, in my personal opinion. I think there potentially might be some disciplinary stuff that Nashville does go through, but we'll kind of see what happens.
My biggest question is, how do you slide something under the rug and not sweep it under the rug?
Okay, thank you very much. Speaking of sweeping...
I just want you to know that English is Valera's third language, Stephen, and we've never used that as a way to demean you, but we just did.
Well, it's easy. You can slide something under a rug. You could absolutely slide something. So it's not technically wrong, but yes, I used the phrase in a wrong way. I'm very sorry.
You also said the benefit of, and neither said doubt. And I was just like, is he going to finish it? You kept me on my toes.
Anyway, speaking of the benefit of the doubt, let's talk about that national team.
No,
I was trying to find a way to make fun of Arsenal, but I couldn't.
By the way, a full discussion on the national team, the squad selection, all that was in the last episode of Club and Country. And I was on that with Ben Wright and Brady Gall. So if you want like a full-on reaction to the squad national team, go listen to last week's episode.
Wow, Valera's talking about the U.S. men's national team in a podcast?
They forced
crazy. That's insane.
No, I did give my thoughts on that. Now, I'll give you my thoughts on this. I only watched the first 30 minutes of this game. To be fair, I watched the highlights of the rest of it. The best 30 minutes, I would say, is what I caught, because
you caught the best
Yeah, they looked
The
amazing.
first
They
30
looked
minutes were the best part. That got me excited for the world. There's been a lot of stuff with FIFA, just a lot of things surrounding this World Cup that has made me not excited for it. That first 30 minutes got me really excited again.
yeah, I thought it was really good and they played well. And I thought honestly, the biggest thing is that they seemed like they had a plan. And that has been my
Yep.
biggest complaint about Pochettino. Every time I watch this team, it's like, what is the plan? What are we doing? And I think what I saw, and at least in the part that I watched, it seemed like the team had a plan.
And that was the one thing that always was disappointing, like, since Pochettino came on, right? Because, like, say what you want about Berhalter, but you kind of knew what the team was going to do and
Exactly.
how they were going to play. And you knew that anybody could play that style. You knew exactly what they were going to do. They played like a club team. And
Right.
there's a lot of benefits that come from that. There's also a lot of downsides that come from that. And so seeing them play well, I mean, seeing Christian Pulisic, obviously tough year in Milan for him, but like, come in and be involved in the first 2 goals. And hey, I have a rooting interest in Senegal because I root for Everton at the World Cup, and there's 2 Everton players that play for Senegal. So,
Yeah.
like, I didn't have a lot of high hopes for the U.S. to have a good performance in that game, just on the basis of, everything. And I felt pretty good after that. I think that they'll meet expectations. Where
Yeah.
I did not think they would before that game.
Right, absolutely. And Senegal is a tough team. I mean, they won AFCON. I mean, they are, yes, they in quotes won AFCON, but they are an extremely tough team in a bracket, in a group of death. I mean, they have Sadio Mane, and I mean, I'm not going to say Nico Jackson is because he completely missed Sky one.
Iliman Ndiaye,
Yeah,
Idrissa
absolutely.
Gana, the 2 most important Senegalese
And
players.
there are so many players on that squad that are just really, really good.
I was watching that game with half an eye, like scouting Senegal, because I think we're gonna get absolutely cooked by them in the World Cup. And obviously, I'm gonna be at that game. I'm gonna be at all 3 games again, and I'm gonna see
Yeah,
my
and like
country get cooked. But it was they are a very good team, full of stars. It's as close of a starting lineup as you'll probably get. I don't think it was like fully all their starters, but pretty close to their starters. So you can't. It wasn't like a second tier team or anything like that. And the U.S., to be fair, had most of their starters as well. Chris Richard and Weston McKennie, the 2 big sort of missing players. I hope Chris Richards back because man, that center
Yeah.
back group needs him.
And I think Balogun gets the start too over Pepe most
Probably,
matches, 9
probably.
times out of 10.
But I
I
thought
think
Pepe did
so.
well in the beginning.
I did too.
Yeah, like I thought he
I
was
did
pretty
too.
active. But Balogun
I think
obviously is coming off an incredible season with Monaco.
Yeah, I think Gio Reyna played extremely well. I think there's still questions defensively, obviously, when it comes to this team. Is there an MLS defender that's had a bigger drop off than Miles Robinson? I don't know if there is, but yeah, I think there's just some extreme questions there. I think Matt Turner's distribution was very poor. I would say during that match as well. There's still questions, but I think the optimism is there, and I think that's good. Confidence getting back, optimism being there. I think that's what you want to see. So I'm very, very happy about that. It's one of the rooting interests I do have in the World Cup as it's coming forward. It's one of the things that I didn't think I would, but it's getting back to that point. Is there any other rooting interest that you guys have? I mean, Valaire's is obviously extremely easy, so I'm not going to ask Valaire first this specific question. But Clay, for you, is there anything any rooting interest that you have in this year's World Cup?
My primary rooting interest is that FIFA loses boatloads of money.
Yes.
But
Not gonna
I
happen,
don't think that's going to
unfortunately.
happen.
I'm sorry.
So my rooting interest aside from that is ticket prices come down, which they've actually started to come down quite exorbitantly.
But this is
Which I
not
think
fair. I thought we were talking about countries. Wow,
That's
look at
just
this
really-
noble guy. He hopes tickets are cheaper and FIFA loses money. Congrats, Clay. Like, give me a country name.
I would like you to read what it says on the thing right now out loud.
Who/what? Oh, okay, never mind.
So, yeah.
I will say, though, that is a cop-out. Clay, give us a country that you have a rooting
No, I
interest.
already talked about it. I'm rooting for Senegal.
Okay.
I want Senegal to do well because I root for Everton, and so I think Senegal, with the way the AFCON played out, it'd be fun to see them make a deep run. I think they're positioned, to have a tough one just to start things out. But I do think that they're pretty good. I also, I don't talk about this often, but the thing going into the Champions League final and the last thing with the last weekend of the Premier League or last few weeks of the Premier League is that I view Arsenal and England the same way. So that if Arsenal would have won, cool, Mikel Arteta wins, whatever. But if they lose, it's hilarious. And so I view England the same way. So if England wins, Jordan Pickford, awesome. That's fun. But if they lose, England losing is hilarious. It's never not hilarious. So I that's kind of where I fall on this. But my primary rooting interest outside of the US, of course, would be Senegal. I hope Canada makes a good run too. Obviously, there's lots of ties between NSC and the Canadian team over the years. So I do have a rooting interest in that. But my primary rooting interest is that tickets get to the point where I can go to a match, because right now they are not.
I'll say Iraq obviously is the easy one for me, but USMNT, I'm always kind of hoping they do well. And I have covered the team on and off throughout the years, just because when they come to Nashville or something like that, I've interviewed some of the players, I've talked to the coaches. So overall, I do want them to do well, and I think obviously being a U.S. citizen, I want to support the soccer team here. I am excited to see what it looks like in terms of interest and fan interest. I think the World Cup brings out fans that we just never see before, and I'm really excited. I'm starting to get questions like in random environments where usually you don't get soccer questions, so that's very exciting. But for me, as like a kid, I loved Brazil. Brazil is my team forever. Like, it's like not because Iraq never was in these conversations, and obviously I didn't live in the US, so I had no other sort of interest in other countries other than Brazil. 2002 was my first ever World Cup. I watched Brazil there, and man, my brother liked Germany. One of my brothers liked Germany, and they met in the
Germany
final.
should have been eliminated in 2002.
And Germany should have been eliminated by the US in 2002. But all that said, it was kind of like it's kind of perfect because it created this like little rivalry at home, but also I just loved Brazil, loved watching them play. And I do think when the Brazilian national team is good, it actually makes me feel like everything will be all right. It's like having good American goalkeepers in the Premier League. It's like, this is a thing that has happened my entire life. Why is it not happening right now?
It would help if they didn't just snub one of the best goal scorers in England to be on the team of Brazil, but is what it is.
Who's one of the best
Richarlison? Yeah, Richarlison should have definitely been on the squad, Steven. I mean, especially if only for the bicycle kick in the last World Cup. That's who you're talking about,
I think he's
right?
talking about what's his name, Emmanuelson or whatever from Bournemouth. I think that's who he's talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. That's also what I'm talking about. Yes, absolutely.
Evan Nelson, right?
Can I have a weird goalkeeping hot take?
Sure, buddy.
The U.S. was good at goalkeeping when the U.S. did not care about soccer, so it made sense that their best soccer players all use their hands.
Yeah.
And now the U.S. cares way more about soccer, and the goalkeeping sucks.
It's not a coincidence.
Is there a correlation between that?
I don't know.
What if our best athletes did not play soccer, but then decided to be goalkeepers later?
What if LeBron James was a goalkeeper?
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
We're going to talk about some other stuff as well. We just came out with a really cool article, or Ben Wright wrote a really cool article that we've been talking about for a while. And then I'm going to make up something to predict in the next 10 minutes. And we're going to do all of that next right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. We're back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer at Pharmasoccer on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, 615soccer.com and pharmasoccer.com. But 615soccer.com is where you're going to see an awesome interview that Ben Wright did with Nashville's first manager, Gary Smith. Something that Clay and Valaire and I have talked about wanting to happen on this show for a very, very long time. I think we were counting down the days where Gary Smith's contract was finally going to end in January 1st. We were going to reach out. I don't think we did specifically, but this is really cool, I will say, that Gary Smith is speaking out and talking about his time in Nashville.
My lone criticism is that Ben didn't tell us in the story what Gary was wearing.
That is
I can
true.
tell you. Yeah, no, just from memory. No,
What was he wearing?
if I had to guess, either the short sleeve button up from USL days or the I don't
It was
know,
a coffee
like
shop. It could have been cool. He might have been doing the sweater.
yeah.
I think he's in tracksuit. Like, I think he's like full blown.
Tracksuit.
Yeah, I think he's enjoying because during
Where have we
trainings
ever
and stuff
saw
like
that?
that, he's in tracksuit.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was rare, but
Gary had a very like David Moyes approach to outfitting. Like sometimes it's a
English?
full, yeah. Well, Moyes is Scottish, but
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry,
same
British.
country. But no, super cool article. Go check it out. I think we've been wanting to hear specifically from Gary Smith's time. And I think it's something to come back to where you do look at some of those numbers, especially in the 2021 season, of how good Nashville actually was under Gary Smith. I think, of course, coach gets fired. You're going to look at it in some different circumstances, right? And I think other people are, and they see how well BJ is doing now. They're going to look at Gary Smith's tenure as not necessarily as successful as BJ's, of course, but it was nice to hear him kind of reiterate that he feels like he laid the foundation to what Nashville SC was doing. And I think in a lot of ways he did.
Yeah, and I think he was literally one goalkeeper penalty away from winning Nashville's first ever cup against Messi. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's not forget that either. And I think it's all. In this show, I don't have anything to worry about. What we have said about Gary on this show, I feel very confident, like very comfortable in. We criticized him when we needed to, but we also were very fair to him, I think, throughout the years. And I think we gave him his props and his even when he was let go, we talked about his impact and his legacy in Nashville. And I think it might go like unnoticed now, but I do think 10 years from now, people will look at that starting run of Nashville SC and MLS and be like, wow, they competed every single year. That's not common for these expansion teams, So I think he'll get his dues. Maybe it's a little still fresh now, but overall, for him as a guy, I think there are like 8 vacancies in MLS right now, maybe 7 vacancies in MLS right now. And I think if you're a team trying to get your craft together and you're trying to like solidify yourself, I don't know if he's like a long-term, we're giving you the keys. But if you are a team in the bottom and you're like, you know what, we might still have a chance of the playoffs. We just need somebody to get a tune out of these players. I truly believe he's able to do that. Maybe the candidates, there are better candidates out there. I don't know. But to me, I think that's kind of part of what he's really good at. He's really good at stabilizing things and getting you to that competing level at the very least. And like I said, he was literally one goalkeeper penalty away from winning.
One of the things that I think, and Ben talked about this in the Discord, which you can join 615, is the underlying stats for a lot of Gary's teams were better than you remember them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And this was something that actually taking it all the way back to 2018, like shout out to Austin Gwynn, former comms person for NSC, has always pointed to. Like his teams were more proactive than you remember them in your head. And even the Colorado teams that a lot of people like me who was watching MLS at the time thought were kind of hard to watch, like they scored a decent amount of goals and they were hard to beat and hard to get results in, and that's what Nashville was. And I think that what has allowed Nashville to be as expansive as they have been the last year are some of the foundational principles that Nashville as an organization had and being hard to break down and things like that. Like that's part of the equation. You can't do everything just defend like crazy. You can't also attack like crazy. You got to be somewhere in the middle. And Gary, I think, would himself say that he leaned more into the defensive side and being hard to beat side more than the expansive pressing forward side. But he had pretty good teams. Like 2021 was a very, 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 very good season. And if Nashville scores another goal against Philly up there in Chester, where we were all very, very sad during penalties, if Nashville scores another goal in that game, we might have been talking about Nashville as MLS Cup champions. I mean, that is what the level they were playing at, because New York City FC won that year, and Nashville did well against New York City FC that year. So I mean, like, Nashville was in the hunt in 2021. Maybe not as on Front Street as they are right now, where everyone's talking about Nashville as a contender. But in 2021, Nashville was very, 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 very good. And I think it's easy to lose sight of that with the way that it ended. And I think that whenever Nashville has sort of its ring of honor, whatever they're going to call it, in the future, there's some obvious ones. Obviously, Hani Mukhtar is going to be in there. And I think Gary Smith will be one of the first people that goes into that, because it is a tough, tough gig. What he did from when he got here in 2017, and there's nothing here, like they don't even really have a team office, they're sharing a building, to what he left. It's a huge amount of work that went into it, and we should not forget about it. And I think history will be very, very, very kind to the job that Gary Smith did in Nashville.
Yeah, definitely go read the article. It's really good. Gary calls John Cadiz fat, which
he
I
doesn't do that.
I thought it was amazing.
He does not do that. Don't do that. No, you can't just say things on a podcast.
He said that he was a good swimmer and that he's very buoyant.
No, he said he was overweight. That's literally
overweight
in the article.
Is the word. Don't say he said.
I will say this. I will say this. The story does talk about some of the misses. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't talk about Miguel Nazarit, the miss that I'm most interested in hearing about.
I don't think he even got to meet him.
Yeah. But just talk about some of the criticisms, which were fair, around him and young players and maybe some of these signings. And I do think it's also important to remember when thinking about this, that Nashville's idea around a youth setup was pretty nascent.
Yeah.
And that's not a situation that Gary has found himself in a bit around, because in Colorado, that was kind of the early days of the MLS youth setup. And then he was with the Atlanta Silverbacks, may they rest in peace. Like, it's just a whole different situation. And so that is the one thing where if another team were to hire him, he's going to have fleshed out answers around young players and the youth setup.
And speaking of which, I do think one of the part of the article is that there is a possibility that Gary Smith coaches again in MLS. And I think this was him also kind of relaunching himself specifically into those conversations of wanting to coach again.
Isn't it great that he decided to do that at 615 Soccer?
I know. It's so cool. It's so cool that he did that at 615 Soccer. So in the idea of Gary Smith joining the new MLS squad and we needing something to predict, why don't you plug who you are as a person and talk about where Gary Smith is going to end up in MLS or USL in his next position and job prediction-wise.
Ooh, that's a good one. And I'm stalling. But go at Valer wherever on social media and on YouTube as well. Subscribe, like, all of those things. I would really appreciate every person who can support me during this. I'm going to be doing some World Cup coverage. I'm also going to be obviously doing MLS coverage and Nashville SC coverage and all sorts of everything. So follow me if you don't follow me. Subscribe to this show. Subscribe to 615 Soccer. Subscribe to Club and Country. You might not know just how big it is, but every person who follows, every person who likes, every person who interacts, literally, it means the world for us, and we're very happy to have you guys listening here. So please subscribe, rate, all of those things. Take like 5 minutes out of your day and do a little bit extra of subscribing and rating. It would make me very happy. If you want to make me happy, that is. If you want to make me sad, don't do anything. Just stay where you are. There you go. But I think Gary Smith will take over the Portland Timbers for the rest of the season, and he will get them into the playoffs and win the first round.
Wow.
That's what I got.
Clay.
I, for one, would love to see Timbers Army reaction to that hire.
Oh my God, I would love
one Englishman to another, two English legends.
That was my thought, but I have another one. So
yeah.
Clay, go ahead.
So you can follow me at Clay Russell on Twitter and Instagram. And it's an interesting question. Because you're not just getting Gary Smith, you're getting Steve Guppy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they saw the leap that Hani Mukhtar made. And Hani will tell you himself with Steve Guppy. So you start thinking about what's a coach opening that has a wing player that could use some extra help. And obviously, enter Miami.
Messi needs it.
Yes,
Messi just
Gary
really
Smith.
needs some coaching.
Yes, I
Steve
agree with that.
Guppy. Imagine Steve Guppy and Messi. No. Obviously, a little facetious there. I do think, looking at these openings, it's hard. But I mean, I kind of like the idea of Gary going to Austin.
It's not a bad thought.
Bring back Driussi. Get him the MVP. Justice.
I just think that there's been a lot of ups and downs at Austin, and I think that maybe that's a good fit. The city is somewhat similar to Nashville, and except it's a one-club town. There's no other real pro sports going on, but I don't know. That one seems like it could be fun.
It also makes sense that, they're like a secondary city to Nashville, and they get Nashville's coach after he's done there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I also like going through these openings, though. Gary Smith would be a really good coach in MLS right now. Like, it is crazy to go back and see that I think he could do some good things with these teams specifically. At PHStevenHD, though, on all of my stuff, make sure you check it out. Obviously, be a part of 615 Soccer. My prediction, though, is that he doesn't go to any of these teams at the current moment that are looking for
Iraq national team coach.
No. For some reason, this abomination of an organization is not going to fire this coach during the World Cup break. They're going to lose one more match right after the World Cup break, and then he's going to get fired. Gary Smith to Atlanta United. It's local. It's close.
He coached the Silverbacks.
Gary Smith to Atlanta United. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We truly do appreciate it. Everything Valera said, and your actions, you do not understand how much it means to us. Like, it really does mean the world to us. So thank you so much. We'll be back next week to cover something. I don't know what, but we're definitely going to be covering something. We'll see if any more news drops off. But thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.